Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nintendo Rewind. My name's Cody Christian, and I'm a lot more bald this week than I was last week. And I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Becker. We're not rewinding and recapping last week for Nintendo, but before we dive in, how is it going, Chris Becker? How's it going, my dude?
Oh, marvelous. So great. I was sick earlier in the week, but I feel better now. It's just a matter of my voice getting over it and stop sounding so cloudy.
Yeah. You've had something going on, and it's taken a toll on our friendship because you've not been available to hang out for the past few days. It's been bad. It's like Mrs. Nerdwire, my wife, Courtney. She constantly is like, "Hey, Chris, are you gonna play some video games with us tonight?" And you're like, "I can't. I feel like death." It's like, no, I get it. But are you on the upswing?
You had to spend time together.
Yeah. We did, and it's weird for us to just now it's weird. We used to only spend time together, and now we've got a third wheel that's just hanging with us, and it's been the nicest third wheel in the world. And I think, hey, why isn't my third wheel here now?
Yeah. Now you're just back on the motorcycle.
Oh man, yeah, it's no longer a trike. It's just a bike, no trike. But I don't know. Have you been doing anything for yourself besides ginger ale, tea, honey, and medication, or what have you been doing?
Yeah, a lot of water, just staying hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
One of the medicines I had, but it's no longer here. It had honey in it, so it's like you would get a bit of that, like cough syrup taste, but then the honey would coat your mouth, and then it'd be like, oh, that taste is gone now. So tastes better.
I do hate the taste of cough syrup just in general, especially if it's like Mucinex liquid or like Dayquil. It's awful.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Went through the Dayquil first, and then moved over to this one infused with honey.
I think you made a much better choice, much better decision. So,
yeah.
Video games been on your list to do while you've been trying to survive? I know you've been doing a whole lot of so for those not in the know, Chris has been revamping his attic. I'm assuming you're going to try to move your streaming space up to there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the plan. Been adding installation, but since I was sick this weekend, and my dad was sick too, so he was, we were both kind of knocked out for a few days.
Yeah.
But Sunday we have a bunch of bins. Move those all down to the garage to kind of make room for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that on Sunday, and then we were just death.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've been doing that. But then I recently discovered this thing, which I don't know if you know this about me, but I got 5 or 6 Stadia controllers, right?
What? Why? Of all the controllers.
Big Stadia fan, okay?
Giant. Full on Stadia. I bet you're enjoying all those games they refunded you on and let you keep.
I know, that was great. That was wild that they refunded me.
Thanks, Google.
But what happened was a lot of times there'd be a game that came out. I played Cyberpunk at launch on Stadia and didn't have any issues. But when you would get these games, they would give you a free starter kit or Google Home that came with a Stadia controller.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up with 5 or 6 of those. But anyway, I'm a big fan of cloud gaming. I like to be able to just pop in, play it, bada bing, bada bang. Well, I didn't even I forgot about GeForce Now.
Oh, right? Yeah, the NVIDIA streaming platform.
And I've been playing so many games. I've been feeling sick, but playing a bunch of games through GeForce Now.
See, I might be an idiot. I've tried so hard to get that to work on my phone. I don't know what I need to do because I have a backbone for my phone. But I can't
yeah.
figure out how to get GeForce Now, which I'm using Apple, so the gaming support there is just misery in general, unless it's through Apple Arcade. But I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I have a Mac and I'm using the Mac app, and no issues whatsoever. And I've been playing like the Rogue Prince of Persia. My dad's a big Halo Infinite fan, so we'll play multiplayer with that.
Maybe it's because I'm trying to play the games I own through Steam. Through there, does it work like that, or do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it does work. Maybe I'm just an idiot then. Like,
I'll try it on my phone. I haven't tried it there, but I know with what is it, Apple, or no, Microsoft, like the Xbox Cloud, you needed to use like Google Chrome to get it to work.
Yes,
because it wouldn't work through Safari. I don't know. I haven't even tried GeForce Now on my phone. I didn't even think of that.
I'm gonna try it because the main thing I want to do is I want to play through Baldur's Gate 3, and I have the Steam Deck, but my hands go numb holding the Steam Deck because it's massive, and on top of that, it doesn't look super good. And I figure if I'm just streaming the game, I can make it look however I want it to look because I'm just streaming it to my phone. It's not like taking up extra processing power. It's just reflecting a monitor essentially, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like
that's like I just discovered I can go live on. I got an email saying I can go live on TikTok, and that's what I did. I was streaming myself.
Thank you, Nettist, by the way. He said that's what she said in the live chat. It's massive hands go numb.
Exactly. But I was playing GeForce Now and then streaming that from my computer to TikTok.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it another try. Maybe I'm just dumb. I'll figure it out.
You let me know when, and I'll play multiplayer.
Oh, that'd be sick. That's the best way I think to play Baldur's Gate, isn't it?
With you, yeah.
That'd be so. But you don't like to read.
Well,
would you read with me if it'd be me and you, or are you just gonna mash to skip?
I don't mind. If as long as it's voice acted, and it is.
It's mostly all voice acted. And most everything. Your choices matter though, so you can't just click through just top choice every time. Like, you'll end up with this chaotic evil nonsense.
We'll have channel. If you stream, we'll co-stream it or whatever you call it, and we'll just have people that can gift points or bits or whatever to not read the choices and just power through.
It's like the opposite of what you have going on over on your stream, where you're like, no skipping cutscenes is the routine that you got rid of.
It was boring. It was annoying me.
You're annoying me, but I digress. Your reading comprehension sucks. I don't know.
I don't. What are words? Hello, Susie.
Yeah, that's fair. What's up, Susie? What's up? But no, I don't know. Like, I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying GeForce Now. I need to see if I can give it a try somehow and give it a go.
Maybe you need a Stadia controller. Maybe that's what it is.
That's it. Yeah. The backbone, it's screwing me over. Yeah. Like, it's just straight to Stadia.
I'll send you a Stadia controller.
Thanks. You got 6 of them. I mean, you could afford to get rid of one. Oh man, no. This week, this week was crazy, like overall, just in general. There was a lot of things going on, but then couple that with the fact that like we planned a trip. We went and visited my mother-in-law. She's stationed out of town, about 4 hours away. We went, just outside of Nashville, Bowling Green, Kentucky area, and went and visited there. Took the kids to this place called Kentucky Down Under. It's like Australia themed Kentucky petting zoo, where you can go and pet kangaroos and box turtles and giant turtles and emus. It was crazy. Like, it was really, really cool. I got to feed a kangaroo from my hand. I had a big one because they had a bunch of them. I mean, it was like close to 20 of them that were there. And I had there were 2 big ones, and I think they were parents of the smaller ones. The 2 biggest ones, one of them got up, and these things are jacked. But like, it's walking over to me, showing me its pecs and biceps and everything as it's walking over to me. And then it starts to scratch on its back because it had an itchy spot. And it couldn't reach where it was trying to scratch. It literally grabbed my hand with its clawed hands and pulls my hand to its back. and has me scratch its back, and I'm like, I don't want to get in a fight. I'm gonna scratch a kangaroo's back. Like I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, no choice.
It was crazy. It was so cool. Like it was so cool. And then we went and did a cave tour with the kiddos too this past weekend. Took them to Chuck E. Cheese. I have not been in a Chuck E. Cheese since the 90s, and let me tell you, the experience was significantly better than the experience I had when I was a kid. But you know, it was good. All of the arcade games in there were 1 credit to play for a limited time, is what they had said on there. I don't know how true that is, but you know, you load up a card with 60 plays, and it's like 60 different like arcade games you can play all at once, you know? Like it was really cool. So we went and did that, had a good time doing that.
Did they have what was it? Fruit Ninja? Did they?
They
Fruit
did,
Ninja?
but the screen was down. It was like you couldn't do anything with it. So like it was black, but they had I'm trying to think. Like I didn't even look at the names of the games. There was like good street racing game. Lando lost his mind. There was a Cars arcade game that was there where you could be Lightning McQueen. He was like instantly, I'm Lightning McQueen. Didn't even think about picking Mater, which was the worst choice that could possibly make.
What?
But
Right.
yeah, if you can mod someone out there, please ban Exhilarating Mademoiselle's message. Please ban them as a user. So, but all that being said, like it was a good time. Like they had a good time. Trip did hold a snake while we were at the Australia Kentucky
I saw
Down
that on
Under.
Instagram.
Yeah, that was super cool. We got to be in a hot tub. We got to be in a pool for a day, and then the water got super cold overnight because the temperature dropped drastically. I went to a retro game store. I was telling you this right before the show started. I went to a retro game store, and let me just tell you, their Nintendo section was so miserably small. Not that there's a whole lot that I would want, but if they had something unique, like that's absolutely what I would want to buy. And unfortunately, I walked out of there not with a retro game, but with a dead media. I bought Marvel's Avengers, the Crystal Dynamics Square Enix game that came out during COVID times and got lambasted by critics online. So I'm excited to give that one a try because like it's been enough time with live service games being disappointing. I think I can go back to this one, and because all the live service stuff is ended on it, but all of it's integrated into the game, so it's free now to be able to play. Like I'm just gonna go experience it and experience the story. I really have been craving like more Marvel video gaming content after doing Marvel Ultimate Alliance and playing a little bit of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch. I want to expand that. Guardians of the Galaxy was really good, by the way. I don't know if you played that game, but Guardians of the Galaxy, super good. And I'm hoping this is kind of in that same vein. I don't think it is, but I'm hoping it is.
Wait, which one?
The Marvel's Avengers is what it's called.
Yeah.
It's just straight up just Marvel's Avengers. So
I liked the the story. That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Oh, that's right. They turned the servers off.
Yeah, so you can. I don't know if you can't do multiplayer, but I know it's not like the live service side of it is ended. So it's like all of the stuff
you can't
is.
buy any more items.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff like that.
they're accessible in the game already. So I think they're like built into the base. So they got rid of the economy in there, and I think that's what really bothered people was how much everything cost just for the experience, and then like the promises that were made that never actually happened, like getting Spider-Man into the game. I think never actually finally happened.
He's on PlayStation.
Yes.
He's only on PlayStation.
Yes, but I don't know if he actually ever came out on PlayStation. Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will experience it. I've bought it. I found it for $20, and I'm gonna do that. And then we did like gotcha machines at the retro game store too. I got a Power little waifu figurine out of the gotcha machine from Chainsaw Man. Trip did a Minecraft gotcha machine. Lando did a Pokemon gotcha machine. He ended up getting like a little catch a whooper, catch a love disc kind of like fishing game while we were there too. So that was really cool. And then we hit up my sister's place on the way back home today, so that's why I have no hair. I had her cut it all off. I was tired of being blue. And we had lunch with her. It was a good weekend. The problem is that this goes back to back with we've got a trip going out of town again this Friday. So I'm going to be out of town again Friday through Sunday. But that does give me a little more time to work on the show come Monday. So I'm happy about that. Which leads me to what tonight's episode is actually going to be about. We're going to get to know Chris through the lens of Nintendo. Because I realize, like, maybe a lot of you guys don't really know us as hosts as much. I mean, you guys show up here on a week-to-week basis, and that's super appreciated. But you don't know us as people all that much unless you go visit our individual streams. And even then, you get to see what you get to see. You may not find out our history or anything. So, but before we do any of that, before we dive into, not the news, but before we dive into the actual show, I want to make sure that we thank our generous supporters from NintendoRewind.com. If you would like to directly support our content, guide what we're discussing, and get exclusive videos that won't be uploaded to our YouTube channel, you can sign up to become a member. Plus, you get some merch discounts, and every dollar, and I mean every dollar that you spend on our merch also helps us continue to produce this show. There's even a tier that only costs $1 a month, and with it, you get a shout out on the show. That said, I want to thank our members Calamity Nolan, Sierra Christian, and Shiny Bird for all their gracious support. Now, we're going to get back to the show. Chris Becker. You know, when I posted that we were doing an interview of you on stream tonight, and I said we were going to be getting intimate. If you guys haven't had the chance to see the thumbnail, please go look at it on our social medias as far as that goes. But you can see all of that stuff. But I wanted to take a week and really kind of do, because it was a slow news week. Nintendo didn't really do a whole lot. Just to be completely honest, they didn't really do a whole lot. We've got stuff to look forward to later this month with Mario Party Jamboree, but this last week it was like poking them with a stick saying, please move, do something. So I wanted to take a week where we talk to Chris and we find out about him and a little bit about his history, and you know what his upbringing was like and why he is the person that he is. Why are you the way you are? But through the lens of Nintendo. So Chris, you're Chris Becker. And for many of you guys, you know him as Super Nintendad Online. If you follow his stream, he does a whole lot of different stuff. It's not always just Nintendo, but it is always gaming, obviously. So games have kind of been a big influence on you as a person. But I want to kind of rewind just a little bit and talk a little bit about your childhood, and a little bit about you and your gaming tastes again through the lens of Nintendo. So, Chris, let's go ahead and dive into this. I've got a small guide of questions that I'm going to kind of go through, but again, I want to focus these on the lens of Nintendo. So, I'm not going to ask you the direct year you were born. I am instead going to ask you what Nintendo video game console was popular when you were born.
The Nintendo Entertainment System.
I thought you were about to say the Nintendo baby stroller that is featured at the Nintendo Museum. No, I'm kidding. But no, so you're an NES baby, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
I sure am.
Did you have an NES growing up?
Oh, yeah, we got it. Well, I was young when we got it.
How young would you say you were? This is very intimate, by the way. How young would you say you were?
I was like 3, maybe.
Okay. Was it like the new hotness at the time, though, like when you guys got it, or had it been out for a little bit?
Yeah, it came out like 3 years before we got it.
Okay. So that was kind of a similar situation for me whenever I was growing up. Like, my parents had gotten the system. and they got it with Duck Hunt and Super Mario Bros. Bundle, the single cart that had both the games on it. Had the light gun with it. It was like the action set. But you know, do you remember like what version of it was that you got? Was it the Rob the Robot combo?
It was not the Rob the Robot. Rob sucks. It was no. It's
a hot take. That's a hot take.
It's not that hot take. I like Rob the Robot, but I don't like the games. Gyromite. Ugh. No, it was Mario and Duck Hunt.
Okay, so not the there was a third one that came out too, where it was Mario, Duck Hunt, and World Class Track Meet. That came on the
my
same
neighbor
cartridge.
got that one.
Oh man, that one's there's too much going on that. I think you have too much fun at that point. So, okay, so whereabouts were you born? Where did you grow up? You know, you don't have to give city, state. I'm not asking for that. I don't want to get deep down dirty and get you doxxed. But you know, were you a Pennsylvania boy all your life, or did you grow up elsewhere?
Yeah, born Pennsylvania, then moved from where we were to like my grandparents had a house from their parent. My grandmom bought a house from her dad. He had passed away. She inherited it, and then they sold it to us. Well, my parents.
And that was still in Pennsylvania at the time?
Still in Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes away from where we were. Yeah, Middle Earth. And then also for a little while I lived in...
One does not simply walk into Pennsylvania.
California, but that's later on.
That is true. That's like in your adulthood age, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So having the NES... And growing up as a Pennsylvania boy, you know, what were the popular games back in the day for you? Like, did you have any friends that were like blowing up, oh, it's Super Mario Bros. 3 all the way? Or was there like other things that people were talking about that you also got interested in?
Why would one want to walk into Pennsylvania? Great question. Let's see. I would, I'm trying to think, like, growing up, it's not like it is now where it's like I ask my kids and they all play. They're like, all of their friends play games, but they all have like, oh no, he only plays on Xbox or he only plays on PlayStation. And then they got a couple of friends that only play on computer.
Right.
But growing up, it would be like you would find like one kid that would just be like, he would bring instruction booklets into class, and that's how you knew he was a gamer. Other than that, you didn't really know.
Were you that kid?
Games. I was not that kid.
I was that kid. I was a nerd though.
Really?
Like I got ostracized for doing that. Like I didn't make friends doing that. So
I would get like there would be like the one kid that I am thinking of, people would be like, oh, you don't want to hang out with him. But he was the one that would bring the instructor manual.
That's what I'm talking about. That was the same person. They were like, don't hang out with him. Like, but did I grow up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm telling you about your life.
Yes, I'd be like, thank you for looking in from the outside. this nerd.
Yeah. And so but then I would try to talk to him, but he, you know, not everyone is very approachable. And he was one of those people that would be like, because there were some people that I would start hanging out with because of video games, and then we would hang out with each other, you know, other reasons. But he was one where I started talking to him because of video games, but even with the common ground of video games, we just never hung out.
Right.
And yeah, but in terms of video game, like there was like a gaming magazine, or not a gaming magazine. There was a um Borders near our house, the
Oh, that's very
bookstore.
different from a gaming magazine.
Yeah, the bookstore, and I would get the gaming magazines from there, like Nintendo Power and things like that. And yeah, we growing up we had the NES. It's like I didn't know about video games, then we discovered the NES,
Mhm.
and then I started playing. First one I ever noticed was like the Master System.
The Sega
It was
Master
like,
System.
yeah, my cousin had it, and we went over and he had it there, and they had like the bear hunting game. Like it was kind of like the light gun game. And then I told my parents I wanted that, and then so that's why that year for Christmas we got the um it was a family gift.
Yeah.
And then I also played with a lot of action figures growing up, and I would get those, but then it turned into video games, and my parents were like, listen, if you want video games, you're only going to be able to get like one or two.
Yep.
And it's you're not going to have as many gifts under the tree. I was like, I do not care. But then luckily, there was we could rent games back then.
Mhm.
And I would any game I could rent. If I had already played a game before and I loved it, I would be more likely to rent a game I never played before, because I wanted to play every game, because you never knew which one would be good, which one wouldn't.
Right.
Even back then, I played like every game.
So, kind of going to the drawing it back toward the Nintendo stuff. So you had an NES, and I'm assuming that was your first Nintendo system, just in general, right?
It was the first Nintendo. It was the only Nintendo system out when we got it.
Okay. So, what was your very first Nintendo game?
Well,
was it the Super Mario and Duck Hunt combo, or did you play something else?
Yeah, no, that was we just had that at first.
Okay.
And we loaded up the Duck Hunt because of the gun.
Yes. Did you like the clay shooting or the duck hunting more?
I liked the duck hunting more, because then when you would lose, like the duck would pop up and
that stupid dog.
Yeah.
I like the clay shooting more because I didn't have to deal with the dog who was hateful. So I was like, I'm not gonna have a random cartoon animal ridicule me for my ineptitude. So was the first game that you ever asked for the Sega Master System with the hunting game?
No, I never even bothered to ask about that, because we had the NES.
Okay.
And then but then because we went to that store, right, and we would play the Borders and get those books.
Mm-hmm.
And because we would rent games, I would see there was a Sega Genesis. And then I was like, well, I can't just read Nintendo Power because they got all these other game systems. Because like even back then, I wanted to play every single game available.
All of them, so, all the time.
Every game, yeah. Any game I could play, I wanted to play just to see, because I didn't want to like not be playing the game, like a game that was like the best. A lot of times people at school wouldn't believe me when I'd be like, oh yeah, I played that game. Oh no, yeah, I played that one too. They would just think I was lying, but it was because every weekend we would rent video games.
That was perfect.
And it helped that I was an introvert.
Oh yeah.
Back then. What were you gonna say?
No. I kind of had a somewhat similar experience in that way. We didn't have a Borders where I grew up. We had a local video store. So it wasn't like a chain or anything. It was just a local video store. It was an enthusiast who had a lot of mixed media. So he had a lot of VHSs and a lot of NES cartridges. Oh, yeah. And we would go down and we would check out games from there. I remember renting Crash in the Gang quite a lot growing up for the NES. Loved that game. It was like Olympic themed. But it was never something that like my parents were going to buy, because I had supportive parents who would buy video games, but it was one of those things where I don't know that I necessarily would have said that I grew up poor, at least not back then, because I had what I wanted, but I didn't really want for a lot. I wasn't quite the same way where it was like, I want to play all the games. There were specific games that I wanted to play quite a lot. So, and so when we would go check out games, I didn't check out the variety. I would check out like a rotation of the same 4 or 5 games growing up.
Yeah.
So I totally feel that. Do you feel like your parents were like, I mean, it sounds like they were extremely supportive of your gaming hobby, even at a young age.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I was still, doing stuff in school, hanging out with friends. I was doing band.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't do band actually. It was required. I hated it. But I
What instrument did you play?
drums.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, I really don't want to be here, and my music teacher was like, well, you got to play an instrument. And I'm like, well, what's the easiest one?
You should have just done cymbals, like crash cymbals, just that 2 cymbals you clap together twice a song.
A little cowbell.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. Oh man. That's too funny.
Yeah, so it would I was not playing the clarinet, no matter what anyone says. So played the drums, but anyway, until I didn't have to. Let's see, what else was there? That's what I was gonna say. But Borders was just a bookstore, and they didn't have any games to rent. If they had a bookstore, that's where I would go and get my video game magazine, EGM.
Where did you rent your games then? Was it Blockbuster?
No, there was a Gennardi's and an Acme near us, and both of them started carrying video games.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
And then it got to the point where I would like know the manager, and he'd be like, hand me like a book and be like, I have to pick out what games we're gonna get. Which one should I pick? I'm like, sir, please step aside. I'll help you.
Kind of on that, along the lines of your parents' support and kind of taking you to the Borders and then to the Acme and all that other jazz. Because I'm assuming your parents were probably taking you to these places, dropping you off, getting you out of their hair for a little bit, right? So,
well, they would be there too.
Oh, were they also gamers?
Well, my dad would play games. Yeah, he still plays video games. It's 70 years old. He still plays Halo every day. But he.
That's the way my dad is too. He still plays Call of Duty every day. And he's mid-60s at this point. So
he would be like, whenever we'd get a new game, he'd be like, he'd be like, I have to try it first just to make sure it's okay for you guys to play.
What
do you mean? I'm sitting
Back
here
then,
watching
mature rated video game wasn't such a struggle until Mortal Kombat came along.
Contra, we'd be playing Contra, and he'd be like, all right, I gotta try it first. And then it was like we would have like the buy 2 get 1 free on like the holiday weekends for rentals. And he'd be like, one of them needs to be golf, because he would like want to play golf on the NES. And then we would play, and I'd get bored of it because it would take forever. And
but there's no cutscenes or dialogue. You should have been okay with that one.
No, because we had to change the controller back and forth.
That's true.
And then in between, it's not like I had my phone and I had undiagnosed ADHD, and so I'm just sitting there like, this is just mind numbing. And my dad would be like lining up his shot just perfectly, and I would just tap A and A again, and it would like go like 400 feet past the hole, and he'd be like, if you're not going to take it seriously, you can't play. And I'd be like, oh. And then I'd be like, Mom, Dad's not letting me play. And she'd be like, David, let your son play. And
that's so funny.
Golf.
I get it though. I mean, I get it. Yeah. Like, me and my dad, we were always playing games together, but I don't think I ever really had ADHD. I have increased hyperfixation problems, I think, as far as that goes. So like I didn't mind sitting and watching him play. I would oftentimes hand that controller over to my dad and kind of trade back and forth. But that is like those memories, even though like it's like, man, if I was in your shoes where it was like, this is mind numbing, those memories probably will last you a lifetime for the rest of your life for sure. So like that goes a long way. So you guys did a lot of golf together, a lot of NES golf. Were there any other games that you guys played? Contra?
All the Castlevania games.
Ooh, so how did you do Castlevania together? It was just pass the controller back and forth like old school couch co-op?
The next person got it, yeah.
I got you. I kind of did a lot the same too.
If I would like, one of us would start getting good and we would get, you would either, whoever dies first or beats a boss. Like if you beat a boss, then you had to hand it over.
Yeah.
Because you can't play the whole thing. And we would do that. A lot of that. A lot of us getting extremely confused and lost playing Castlevania 2. Terrible game, but
I mean it holds up. Like it holds up as a Castlevania game.
Castlevania 2 never held up.
It didn't hold up in its time. What are you talking about, Cody? Oh man, were you always like a Nintendo guy though? Like growing up, because you mentioned you were interested in the Sega Master System stuff, but didn't really get that. Were you a Nintendo household?
Well, that's what happened. I didn't. So let's say I got it at Christmas, right? And then my parent, I really wanted a Genesis, and so finally my parents were like, okay, if you do good at school you can get one. And I was like, okay. And they gave me like a star system, and they're like, all right, you get the stars for this and this and this, right, for everything that you did around the house or whatever. And I figured it out, and I like even back then I was really good at math, so I could figure out how many chores and what I needed to do to get the thing. And I had it in, like, they thought it was going to take me like 6 months. I got it in a month.
Oh my God.
And they were not ready for it.
Financially ruined. We will never recover from this.
That's what, yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
where they got that from. But yeah, so then I ended up getting it. I got, what was it? Sonic. It was like a Sonic bundle where it came with Sonic the Hedgehog.
So you went from original NES to Sega Genesis then, not the Super Nintendo route then, right?
No, yeah, you're right. So we had the NES, and then I got the SNES the year that came out, right?
Okay.
And then after that was when I got the Sega Genesis. It was like, oh, for Christmas I get this, and then so it would be like Christmas and my birthday is when I would get stuff, and so I would usually ask for certain things on Christmas, and then it was like if I wanted a game system I'd have to wait till Christmas. It wasn't something I could get it, so that's why SNES was Christmas, and then they did that thing with the other one and thought, oh, well, he won't finish these stars
until Christmas.
Close to Christmas, and then we could just make it a Christmas gift. And I had it in a month. It was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, middle of July. Just
yeah, it was like a month after my birthday.
Oh man, that's too good.
Yeah. So,
that's too good.
But before that, I got the Game Boy.
Okay. How do you feel about the Game Boy?
The Game Boy seems like, I love the Game Boy.
Yes, thank you.
Especially, yeah, go ahead.
Game Boy is like my probably one of my all-time favorite gaming systems Nintendo had ever done. Not because it has the best library, but it's one of those things that I always tell people. The Game Boy for me was my very first console that was specifically mine. Because my family bought an NES very similar to you, but I think I'm a little bit younger than you.
Yeah.
So we had an NES. My parents got it because they were interested in playing Mario, and that was it. But it ended up becoming an NES that I played quite a lot of, more than they did. And then I got a Game Boy, and it was toward the end of the Game Boy's lifespan, mind you. But it was the first console that was ever just mine, exclusively mine. My parents weren't going to play on that. That wasn't their goal. So that holds a special place in my heart. I do love the Game Boy, and I applaud anyone who says, "Hey, I like the Game Boy too." So,
Yeah, I love the Game Boy. Because I was the youngest, so I would get the TV last.
so you have some brothers and sisters, eh?
Yeah, one brother, one sister, both older.
Oh, so you're like the baby though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, at least you didn't get middle child syndrome where you've forgotten.
I did not. Yeah.
Oh man. So did you have like a lot of sharing going on in the household with the gaming stuff, or was it just you who was interested in it?
It was me and my brother were interested in it until he became a father, and then
Is there
in
like
high
a
school.
big? Okay, I was about to say, is there like a big age gap, but probably not then, huh?
Yeah, he's like 4 years older than me.
Oh yeah, that's not big. That's not a big age
Or
gap.
3 years. Yeah, 3. It's like 4 years. The number difference is 4 when his birthday is in March, and then my birthday's in May, and then it goes back to 3.
So he became a dad before you did. So does that therefore make him the Nintendo Entertainment System, since you're the Super Nintendo Entertainment System?
Yeah, he's the virtual Nintendo.
He's the very first one. He's the NES. the OG
That would be my
Nintendo.
dad, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. It goes
Yeah.
even further. Oh man.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Before, I was still in, like, I was like a freshman, I think, in high school when I became an uncle.
Yeah, and so that would put him a senior, maybe
Yeah, he
freshman,
was a
college age.
senior in high school.
I got you. So you guys shared quite a bit of video games. Assuming your sister wasn't super into it, then, eh?
No, she was not.
Did she ever get into games with you? Did you ever like go, "Hey, please play these with me"?
No.
No, just stay away. I'm gonna enjoy my games on my own. No, I feel that. Kind of going on the rest of this. So it sounds like your childhood was very similar to mine, and game acquisition as far as that goes. Because like consoles were exclusively Christmas items too for me and my family. The problem that I had is my birthday. It was in December. So right around Christmas as well. So it was always really difficult for me to be able to get a whole lot of extra stuff. So like I didn't have a middle of the year get a gift and then like Christmas time get a gift as well. It was like, okay, so I have negotiation tactics that I had to do. So I was like, okay, I have the console. Can I get the game for my birthday? Can I get the game for my birthday? And then for my birthday, try it out. that was my negotiation tactics. But it was very much in that same vein. I grew up though in the household that it was exclusively Nintendo. So like I had the NES, I had the Game Boys, I had the Super Nintendo. I did not get the very first console that I got. I was an adult by the time this happened. That wasn't a Nintendo product, was the Xbox 360. That was my very first like non-Nintendo gaming console ever. But it sounds like you jumped onto the Sega Genesis wagon pretty early on, and then kind of never looked back when it came to variety.
Yeah. Because I had the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear. And then not only that, but then one thing I could do is like I might not be able to get a game. It's like if I were to ask for a game, Sometimes we would go to like this farmer's market and they would have games there, and sometimes
Hmm.
I could get one. Um, but I would ask ahead of time before we went, because then, feel it out. If they're like, maybe we'll see, then I thought I'm in. But
Maybe it was always yes.
yeah. But then sometimes if there was no gaming magazines, I'd be like, oh, can we stop at the toy store? And if I didn't want a game from the toy store, or if I didn't want an action figure, around the same price as an action figure is, I could get a Tiger Electronics
I remember those.
game. And
which Tiger Electronics did you have? All of them?
I had like 50.
Oh my God.
know.
I had two growing up. I had two. I had a Sonic the Hedgehog one.
Okay.
And I had a Power Rangers one. And that was it. That was it. And that was enough for me. Those aren't games.
Simpsons, Terminator. I had like a Green Turtles one. I had like anytime there would be like a new movie, I would get that.
Oh, of course. They were the masters of licensing deals back in the day. So like if there was a movie and it was a kids movie, there was a Tiger Electronics tie-in for sure. So
yeah, back then I had no idea. Like, I would have loved the Game and Watch. I mean, that they were pretty much just Game and Watches, pretty much cheap Game and Watches. But yeah.
So kind of growing up and getting a little bit deeper into your more adulthood, maybe older teen years. Obviously, like when we were growing up, like content creator was not a thing that we ever looked at. There were entertainers, right, as a career, but it was never like content creator on YouTube. That didn't quite exist yet.
Right, yeah.
But did you ever have dreams of doing anything in gaming of any sort, or what did you want to do post graduation?
When growing up, I wanted to write and direct movies, and also wanted to that was pretty much always what I wanted to do. And then I thought, maybe wanted to write, direct movies, and then be a dad. That was pretty much it.
Those two career paths. No, I'm with you.
Growing up, that's what I thought.
I think I always wanted to be a dad too. Like I always wanted to be a dad. Eventually, I became that. Like it's totally cool, totally fine. But I don't know if I had that high of aspirations when I was a kid. We didn't have a McDonald's nearby when I was growing up. Like the nearest one was like 45 minutes away. For me to go have McDonald's. The nearest like chain restaurant was a Burger King, and that was like 25 minutes away from my home. And so we didn't get that very often because my parents didn't want to travel out of town to just go eat fast food. I don't really blame them. Plus, it was like, expensive compared to cooking at home in the 90s. So like growing up, I had this mindset that working at McDonald's was like top tier. It's the happiest place on earth. Why wouldn't I want to work at McDonald's? Yeah. And then adulthood slapped me right in the face to say, you don't want to work at McDonald's. What are you thinking? So like, so I wish I'd had higher aspirations coming out of that. And so I mean I did end up transitioning into working in gaming of some sort. So I ended up working at GameStop for a good long time. But once you graduated high school, did you try to pursue anything that would enhance your ability to jump into filmmaking or anything like that? Or was it just like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, so I'm just going to kind of meander along and figure it out as I go?
Yeah, I didn't know for sure. I was working on, I wrote like a book. I had it written, a digital, like it was not a book, a script. And I was working on that. The problem was I would like read it and then once I had it written, I didn't like the way the dialogue sounded.
Right.
So instead of being like, oh, maybe I'll change some of it, I would just delete the whole thing. So
Mhm.
I'd have like a whole book written or a whole script written and then just delete the whole thing. It wasn't a very smart idea or good use of my time.
I get that though. I do that same thing with artwork, because I trash it if I don't like it anymore. So I get it.
Yeah. And so I would do that. Eventually I did, after I had some kids, I got, like, when the iPad first came out, I got an iPad and made children's books on there.
Mhm.
Posted them. They were like the number, like it was like 1 camel, 2 dogs, 3 whatever, up to 10. And then so I did that. That's when I was in California taking classes for digital artwork.
Okay. That was actually going to be my next thing was, did you pursue like college or any kind of like upper education out of high school to kind of
Yeah.
pursue those dreams?
Well, yeah, I went to college. Okay, so I went, I met, I met my boy's mother through MySpace, right?
Hmm.
Or no, through YouTube, because of content creation. So I had posted YouTube videos. This would have been
2007, 2008.
12 years ago,
Yeah.
15 years ago. No, it wouldn't have been more than 12 years ago, because Dash is 15. So
Mhm.
it would have been like 17 or 18 years ago. I posted videos, YouTube videos, for the PSP online, right? Posted it. It was like I imported I think me and my Katamari for the PSP. I imported it because I loved it so much on the PS2. I imported it on the PSP. Then when you beat the game, you like rolled through the credits in 2D and rolled through the credits that way. I posted it online. My children's mother posted it, tagged her friend who ended up being Christian Slater's brother. That's my 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. But
my 6 degrees of Christian Slater.
of Kevin Bacon, yeah. So anyway, so I'm still friends with him. But anyway, so she posted it on his wall, like Facebook wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh snap, I didn't know that was gonna happen, right? So she posted that there, and then since I didn't like, she didn't post it like a comment, I couldn't reply to the comment. She
Right.
posted it on MySpace, so I sent her a DM on MySpace, and then we started talking through MySpace. And then one thing led to another. She was in San Francisco at the time in school, came out to visit here
While you were still in Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania in spring break. She came out to visit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her parents thought she was in spring. Her parents still don't know that we met online, and she thinks we met through my friend in San Francisco.
Hopefully your parents aren't watching. Shout out Chris's kids' mom's parents.
Yeah, Kitty's not watching right now. And so she came here, and then I went there, and she was like at school for summer, like for the summer, a summer course. And so I just went and stayed with her for the whole summer in San Francisco. And so I was living in San Francisco with her doing that, and then doing yeah, I was doing that, and then also doing the went there, and then while I was there, we ended up hanging out more, and then went from San Francisco down to Southern California, which is where she lived, and then came back to whatever it's called, Pennsylvania.
Whatever that state is that I live in.
I need to walk back into Pennsylvania.
So how long did you stay in California for? Because I would imagine it was a decent amount of time to be able to make 2 kids and all that jazz, right? Or no?
We didn't make the kids at that time.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you went and stayed for a good while in California and then came back home to Pennsylvania.
For a few months, yeah. And then that was, I'm trying to think of when. Yeah, because it was for the summer. And then went from then she came back, and then because Dash is 15, Flynn is 12, so
oh my gosh, that's way more than 12 years ago, Chris. That's like 15, 16 years ago now. Holy cow. You're old. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. But we're both old. But no, like, so you were just, I'm assuming just making Katamari Damacy content for fun, right?
Yeah. I was just making that for fun. Yeah. I thought that'd be fun. I think I was like posting on like the IGN message boards, and people would be like, I'd be like, yeah, at the end, like the credits are in 2D, and they would be like, oh, post them somewhere, and so I just would post them online.
No, I get that. So is that what really kind of kept you kind of creating content? Was what pushed you to just decide, beyond doing it for fun, pushed you to continue creating content online?
Oh, I think it was because I would I was like posting it in groups, and then I would see people would post it, and some of my favorite stuff was like, remember like back when IGN was like IGN64.com, and it was like I would go like look at a gameplay footage, and it would just be like a post-it size, but it would be a video. I'd be like, oh yeah, I liked seeing stuff like that, so I would want to be able to post stuff like that so other people could see it,
Absolutely. I mean, it's experiences other people wouldn't normally be able to have, especially with you like importing games and especially kind of back in the day. I mean, the closest thing you had to gaming news was stuff like IGN and then G4 Tech TV when that was in existence. Not the reboot of it that happened on YouTube, but everything prior with Adam Sessler and Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn and all those people. But like, I totally understand wanting to kind of just do something for fun and put it out there. I totally get it. So kind of going into it, what was the origin of Super Nintendo then? Like, how did that come along? Was that the persona that you were using online to post the Katamari videos, or was that a username that came later?
Yeah, so I think before I would be posting like on those message boards that I was talking about, it would be Captain N was my name for a little bit, and then I was like, I don't want to just use someone else's name, so I came up with I think it was like Life as a Gamer.
Okay.
But then I would just do LAAG, so it was lag.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good that's a good acronym.
And and so that was it for a little while. And then also, I don't think I mentioned I was really into pro wrestling,
Hmm.
and I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
I think you have mentioned that to me privately, but I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever told everybody else.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a pro wrestler. So when I was 17, I tried to become a pro wrestler, and I went and got trained by like Sandman from ECW, and he like trained me in a bar, and he's like, "Well, if you guys hang out after this, I'll I will pedigree my son off that bar over there onto the ground." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll hang out."
Watch me commit child abuse, everybody.
It'll be great. And everyone was all about it. Yeah.
Oh man, of
And
course.
so, yeah, so I ended up tearing my ACL, and
Kind of killed
so-
the dream.
yeah, because I was 17, and
Yeah.
I was like, they were like, you need to get a doctor's note to wrestle because you got hurt. Because I got tore my ACL throwing a punch. But
That's
I was like, stomped it,
exclusively
stomped-
hand thing, not a foot thing.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Yeah. So in order to make the noise, you would stomp your foot when you.
Yeah.
And I stomped my foot, but my foot was straight, but my knee wasn't, and so it buckled a little bit. But then, so I had a doctor's note. I was out, and then they were like checking on it to make sure it was okay. And then gym class, my teacher was like, "You need to have that note," because my appointment was the following day to get that thing. And so the teacher was like, "You need to do it, or else you're going to get in trouble," or something. Like I needed to participate in class, or I was going to get in trouble. So
What was
Okay.
what was going to be your name for pro wrestling at the time? Did you have a persona, a stage name
yeah.
picked?
Yeah, it was going to be the Steel Titan.
Were you a heel or were you a face?
I didn't care. I was like, whatever the people.
Do you think you could play heel now, like in your
yeah.
older years?
Yeah, of course.
Too nice. I don't think you could be. I don't think you could be.
Oh yeah. Watch me.
Watch me. I'm gonna have a turn right here on Nintendo Rewind.
Yeah.
Oh
Can't
man.
stand Nintendo. Yeah.
Oh, what? Hold on. What? Oh my goodness. So,
Told you.
but that doesn't 100% necessarily doesn't necessarily answer the question there. What is the origin of Super Nintendo then? How did that come to be? So you went by Life as a Gamer for a while, and you were going to be the Steel Titan in pro wrestling, but Super Nintendo obviously had to happen after you were a dad.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that's what happened. I was sitting there, thinking of names. So it's kind of worked out the same way. I came up with my first name for AOL.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my first name for AOL was Beckberg64, because I was a big Goldberg fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an N64 in the room, so I looked over, saw the N64. I was like, I can't use Goldberg 64, so I was like Beckberg, and then came up with that. And then I was like trying to think of a name, and I was thinking about incorporating my username to be something with dad. One thing I am not a fan of, I don't like the aesthetically, I don't like the look of it, is if somebody has numbers at the end of
their... you weren't cool enough to get the first one. Don't use that name.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if it's your, the year you were born, Sierra. We're not judging, but in terms of some people would write with a number 5 or 6 at the end, and it's just so I was trying to think of a name, and I was like, okay, what about but a thing with dad. And then at the time I would be talking to this guy, and his name was Don, right? And his name's he made his username Nintendon. And I was like,
That works well though.
yeah, but it's Nintendon, but it's Dan, DAAN.
Foreign Don, I understand.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Not an American Don. This isn't DON Donald.
This is not Don.
Super Nintendo Donald.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, what about Nintendad? And then I had Nintendad for a while.
Just
I was like,
original Nintendad?
Just Nintendad. On Twitter, I had just Nintendad. And I was like, okay, but I still have it on Twitch, but I ended up giving it to someone else on Twitter because they asked for it. But then I was like, well, it's taken. The name's taken on some places, so I need to think of something else. I didn't want to use Nintendad 64, just because I don't like the way it looks with numbers at the end.
Nintendad Switch just upgraded now.
Yeah, Nintendad Switch. No, but it was this was before the Switch. So I was like, what about Super Nintendad? That's a good one. And then I pretty much just used that, and then I've been using that ever since.
Oh, I dig it. That is honestly, like, your username, it very clearly communicates that you're a Nintendo dude. Like, and it's also something that I feel like is a very desirable username just in general, because it's so close to Nintendo. Just in general, it's a couple letters off, and has good brand recognition for that. So, like, I always think, man, that lucky son of a gun has such a good username. Has such a good username. So, you know, you continue creating content under the Nintendad kind of name. Were you mostly Nintendo focused, or were you still all over the place when you started doing stuff on Twitch and YouTube underneath the Super Nintendo name?
When I first started doing it, I would just do whatever game I was playing, because you know, still like to play just as many things as possible, even if it's just for a few minutes, just to check it out.
So you went straight off of script almost immediately.
Almost immediately, yeah. But then once I started making more like gameplay videos, I would just stick to Nintendo. But then, you know, another thing would, you know, I get these like passion phases where I'll be like, it's almost like I can, you know, eat the same food like for dinner, you know, 6 months in a row, and then one day I'll just eat it, and then just never want to eat it again for a few months. I do the same sort of thing with the different gaming systems, and it's like, then when new games would come out, I'd be like, I don't even want to play it on that system, even though I've been playing it nonstop. So I go through these different cycles. That's why with Mel and I, we would have like the Nintendo podcast, but then we would just change the name all the time because I would go through these different cycles.
Yeah, I feel that. I've been there. Do you feel like, especially with the advent of the Nintendo Switch while you were creating content, like that really was kind of like a more lucrative, better viewed platform at the time?
Yeah, well, in terms of the Switch, yeah, it's like more people are looking at searching that than anything else.
Yeah.
Even still today, when you like search, go on like YouTube, it'll tell you like, you know, under the analytics, you can check and see like what people are looking at, and it's like the top. It's like always like heavily searched is Nintendo and Switch.
Absolutely. No, I don't doubt it.
But yeah, so right now I pretty much just post whatever I feel like, whatever I'm playing, or you know, if I get an indie game code for a system other than Nintendo, which right now is just PC. If I get that, then I will make the content for that. But yeah, Nintendo Switch, shout out to it. Love the Switch.
Absolutely.
I been playing a lot of it. since it came out. Yeah, it's been quite enjoyable.
Very cool. Well, listen, guys, that has been kind of a shorter, but also at the same time longer interview with my co-host Chris Baker. I hope you guys got to know a little bit more about him. If you have questions for him, do not hesitate to throw those in the comments or in the live chat or over in our Discord community. You can find links to all that stuff at NintendoRewind.com and just go find us on our socials as well, so we can kind of keep up with everything. I do want to close out the interview with you because I feel like we've gotten to know you a little bit more. I feel like the audience has gotten to know you a little bit more with your if you can consolidate it down, your number one all-time favorite Nintendo game, period.
My all-time favorite Nintendo game, period?
Mm-hmm. Your number one video game from Nintendo, period. let me phrase that a little bit better.
Oh yeah. It's Elite Beat Agents.
Elite Beat Agents. Well, you guys heard it here first. Chris has no taste, but I'm just kidding. We will be jumping into the last segment of the show today, which is the
Wait, what would you say is yours?
My number one all time.
Yeah.
If I am not going to be picking a Mario game, which because I don't want to do that.
Your all-time favorite.
My all-time favorite is Super Mario Bros. 3. It's my all-time favorite. Yeah, you can call me that. You go eat a butthole. but it is my all-time favorite from Nintendo. But if I have to exclude Mario games,
yeah.
Okay, because I don't want to be basic, right? My number one that is not Mario is actually
no published.
Yep, is actually Metroid Zero Mission.
Metroid Zero Mission?
Mm-hmm. It's Metroid Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advance. It is a remake of the original Metroid, but done in so much of a better way. They learned a lot from doing Super Metroid, and they streamlined it significantly better. So, that is what I would say. It is Metroid Zero Mission. So I think that's a fair statement. I'm sorry I can't be as eclectic as you. I can try, but it won't be. I won't pull it off. It won't be authentic. So. That being said, we're going to wrap this up. Again, make sure that you hit us in the comments. Let us know things that you would like to know about Chris. And then maybe someday when we do an interview with myself or Josh, whenever he comes back, because he's been MIA for the last month and a half, maybe we'll interview then. But let's dive into the final part of tonight's show, the Nintendo Rewind Fast Forward. All right, so first game that we have on the list here. I'm going to do the fast forward tonight because you've been talking a lot, and I'm trying to save your voice just a little bit. But you can talk if you want to talk. If you want to talk about it, I would highly recommend it. Chris is Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire, and this is a new game. It's coming out on tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, the 9th.
On tomorrow for $24.99 digitally on the Nintendo Switch. It has a very unique art style. I love this title card. But Chris, you mentioned that you might have played a little bit of this and can talk about it?
Yeah, I have played maybe like 3 hours of it so far on Steam. They sent me a code for it. Shout out to them. Yeah, it is. So it's kind of like almost like a modern Dreamcast game in terms of graphics, and turn-based RPG. You are in the ship. I just kind of got through the prologue section. I'll be honest, I just moved it to easy mode because it was like normal or easy, and I switched over to easy because they were killing me. Smalls. So basically, you fly around in third person, in like the overworld map sort of section, And then once you're there, you'll see some enemies, and then you can fly up to them and do a dogfight with them, take them out. And then you have special abilities. Certain enemies you might run into will have weaknesses against different elements, and you can like add ice to your shots and freeze the enemies, and add fire and do that. It is a turn-based RPG, but quite enjoyable.
It looks absolutely stunning. It kind of gives me like, I don't know why, but there's like this mix of Xenoblade meets any kind of tactics game. I mean, insert your favorite tactics game here. Kind of vibes to it. Maybe Tales of Symphonia, kind of similar art style in some ways as well.
Like
but
Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah. Yep. So I really like its art style. What it says down here: thrilling turn-based dogfights. Build your party, customize your airships. Beautiful world filled with wonder and an original orchestral soundtrack. So, if that's up your alley, please go give that a shot. Give it a try. It looks super cool. Next game on the list is Bloodless. Now, this game seems really different, really interesting. It has a very visually striking, artistic aesthetic to it. It kind of gives me some Game Boy-esque vibes with the hatching that they're doing to kind of simulate shade and sticking with a very limited palette. But it does launch as well tomorrow for $14.99 on the Nintendo eShop too. It does look like a very Usagi Yojimbo kind of vibe with cool arena battles as you're going up against these guys using your shadow ninja tactics to kind of go into this and take on these enemies and these bosses. Kind of gives me a little bit of an isometric top down, not isometric, but top down dungeon crawler Dark Souls is what it kind of almost reminds me of too. So
yeah, it's kind of like a style, like it's an action adventure, sort of like it's definitely a counter based non-lethal combat is what they call it.
I got you.
It's a dash and counter. They have a dash and counter mechanic. They have a demo on Steam. It came out like at the end of August on Steam, and it is actually brought to us from 3D Realms, who did what was it? Phantom Fury. It was kind of like that. An Ion Fury, yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I really like the look of it. So
it is pretty.
It's good.
Can't speak to the game itself, but it looks pretty, and it's something that is on my list of things that continues to grow every week by week in here. So there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to pick up that we haven't had the chance to touch just yet. So actually, this one releases on the 10th, not the 9th. My apologies. So day after tomorrow. Also, a big name. We've been talking about this game quite a bit over the last little while, and it is Europa. This game comes out. When is it again, Chris? Can you remind me? Like 3 days from now?
Yeah, Thursday, I believe.
Yep. So you can pick it up. It's got Studio Ghibli-esque, Breath of the Wild kind of cel shady art style going on about it. There is a demo available. I still have concerns about how well it's going to run on the Nintendo Switch. But if you're interested in a beautiful beautiful game, whether it runs fast or not, go check it out. It is on sale right now for $13.49. Will be full price $14.99 when this one launches. The description here is ride and glide and fly across the landscape and solve mysteries in the ruins of a fallen utopia and discover the story of the last human alive. Just kind of gives me like Nazca Valley of the Wind kind of vibes. But yeah. You can go check it out. Maybe a mix of that meets Journey is kind of the vibe that I get.
A little Journey-ish. Yeah, but also, the demo, if you're on the fence.
Yep.
It's always nice when they have a demo.
And free. You can check it out and decide whether or not it's going to be worth your time, at least a little bit. So, next game on the list, Nico de Rico, The Magical World, available for $29.99. This game was covered in a partner showcase, if I'm not mistaken, a while back from Nintendo. It kind of It kind of gives me some Donkey Kong-esque vibes, meets Crash Bandicoot, but like
Yeah.
this game. Chris, you mentioned it to me before we even started the show. You said along the lines that these screenshots that are listed on these listings,
They look a little too good.
they do look
they do
really
not look-
good.
yeah. It kind of almost reminds Ukulele, the 2D one.
Yeah, the Impossible Lair. Impossible
Yeah,
Lair.
It kind of reminds me of that mixed with like Croc on the
Mhm.
well, it was on the PS1 but Sega Saturn.
Yep. Join Nico and Luna on their quest in Nico Dorico, a vibrant platform adventure where the duo discovers an ancient relic on a magical island. The villainous Grimbald of the Cobring Gems Company snatches it away. Worlds, explore unique worlds with... I like how that's a feature. It's worlds. Worlds! Explore worlds! Co-op
Do
modes.
it. Dare ya.
So you can do some single screen couch co-op, bringing friends and family together for a shared gaming experience. There are mounts, so a la Donkey Kong Country. There are mounts that you can have as helpful rides for Nico and Luna. And it's for all ages. Offers a magical, mysterious, and festive experience. But of note here, I can tell you, even if the game does not run good on Nintendo Switch, which we hope it does, the music will be amazing because the legendary David Wise, known for his compositions in classic platformers, a la Donkey Kong Country, has arranged all the music for Nico Dorico, The Magical World. So, again, we are getting some more of that Donkey Kong-esque, Donkey Kong harkening back, spiritual successor vibe to it. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Check this one out. I think it'll be good. I mean, it's only like $30, so it's not like a gigantic commitment. It's not a full $60 commitment, but
Right.
feel free to go give a new game a try.
I'm looking to see like if anyone talks about it. I put in a request to get a code, so if I get one, I can talk about it next week.
Yep. Please go follow Super Nintendad over on his Twitch so you can see him playing it.
Or on my TikTok. I guess I gotta add it to
Yep.
that thing.
Gotta add it to the link tree, dude. Gotta add it to the link tree. And then the final game on our list, Neva, which is never coming out. No, I'm just kidding. It comes out next Tuesday.
Never.
It
Yeah.
is a game that was covered in the in an indie showcase as well. It's from the creators of Gris. Chris was telling me that it's about a 4-hour experience is what they're estimating.
Yeah, 4 to 5 hours. They tweeted it out today.
Yep. It's a beautiful looking game. If you're familiar with games like Gris and from that studio, like you're going to get an art experience. But it is going to be very linear, and it is going to tell the story it wants to tell, and then that is all you're going to get out of it. So, but I mean, I can tell you the animations look absolutely stunning. The silhouette art style that they've done with like just the color theory that they're going through on this is just beyond beautiful. If that dog, wolf, deer creature dies at the end, I shall cry big grown man tears. I will be extremely disappointed and maybe never recommend this game to anybody. But comes from Devolver Digital and Nomada Studio, so you're gonna get something really, really good. This one launches for how much again, Chris? $14.99?
$19.99.
$19.99. My apologies. $19.99.
They tweeted out an emotional action adventure,
Mhm.
4 to 5 hours to complete.
Emotional.
Emotional, yeah. Maybe the human character will die, saving the dog.
That'll be okay. Down with humans.
4 to 5 hours to complete. 2 difficulty settings and customizable controls. So accessibility features.
Baby mode and hell mode. Go experience it. It's Doom. Make me hurt. Oh man, go check it out. Beautiful game. Yes, it's got what? Absolutely. But that is it for tonight's episode and for all things Nintendo Rewind. You can make sure to visit us at our appropriate links there in the chat, or go over to nintendorewind.com. Chris, where can they find you, my good sir? Oh wait, I think you closed your mic source. I think you closed your mic source. Well, you can. He's not gonna fix it. He just says you can find him at places. He's trying to fix it. You can find him at his things. He wants inappropriate links though, is what I'm being told. You can find him over at his Linktree, Super Nintendo Dad, and be able to go follow him. For all things me, you can go to nerdwireplays.com and find out everything that's going on. I do have a couple of streams planned here coming up pretty soon. Do what? Oh, you got a new link already sent to me. Hey, maybe we'll be able to hear Chris right here at the very end. What did you do? Oh, it's back.
Like every single tab I had open, like froze and reset. I don't know what happened.
I got you. Seems like I could hear him, but you guys couldn't. So I have a direct feed for his mic for the shows. That way he has the best audio. So, you know, you can go find him at his inappropriate links as well, his OnlyFans. Yeah. So go support him on his OnlyFans. You can catch all of our past episodes in video form over at youtube.com/at the Nintendo Rewind. We also record live over there, so if you'd like to support us over there and maybe avoid having to see ads here, you can go do that as well. And you can consider supporting the show through memberships. Every dollar that you spend there, it's so much better than a Twitch sub because we get a 97% split versus the whatever 30% it is for affiliates here on Twitch. And you get bonus content. Also, if you do decide to support us, only available there. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can catch us live weekly, Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch and on YouTube. Remember, be kind. Please rewind. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.